Hi guys, welcome to A Touch of Film. Yeah, Happy New Year. Just want to start off by saying that, and it's glad to see the back of 2020. What a terrible year it was. I'm sure that a lot of people that are watching this have been affected in many ways due to the ongoing pandemic. And I'm not saying like health-wise, because obviously health-wise is the major issue here, but also financially, economically, and you know, there's just been so much negativity that's come out of this year, and it's such a shame. And I just wish everyone great health and prosperity in the next year of 2021. But yeah, but looking back on 2020, we saw our community of YouTubers just grow. And it's something that I've really been passionate about since starting my YouTube channel. I really wanted to make this channel not about, you know, making money or just fame or whatever, you know, whatever people want to make their YouTube channel about. This was all about community and having a place for discussions, a safe place, you could say, about for people just to talk about cinema and film and movies we love. And I really started this with my close friend Dion, who is one of my favourite YouTubers. I would say one of the best, if not the best, reviewer on YouTube. I think his reviews are just absolutely fantastic. And we used to talk all the time about doing this, and we met up a few times during London Film Festival, and it was just such a great opportunity to start doing this because of the lockdown. We said, okay, let's do this during lockdown, let's do it a weekly thing, and from there our community just grew. I mean, we had other YouTubers I absolutely adore. I love their channels. You have Eric, Dimitri, two other amazing, phenomenal reviewers. You had Peter, is one of these YouTubers who could talk about the best parts of some of the worst movies and really shine a light on these movies, which is just phenomenal. The way he does it is brilliant. Watch his video on the Hulk. You got David and Carl, two new YouTubers who just come out of nowhere, and just, you know, their channels and their cinema taste is just growing. You've got Elliot, Graham, two veterans, you could say, of YouTube. I mean, Graham and his collection of Arrow titles, and Eureka, and Elliot's as well, of these boutique labels, is just fantastic. And it just allowed us to watch more films and discuss the most obscure, weird films, because this community was of like misfits and delinquents. We love these weird movies that no one else has ever heard of, and it was just a fun place just to talk about these films. And it wasn't just the YouTubers we collaborated with, it was those that came into the discussion. Some of them were YouTubers, some of them were just our subscribers, our audience, who were week in and week out involved in the conversations, which I absolutely loved. It was a real community spirit that for film that came out. And we have our anti-normie type films that, you know, these are the films that we talked about. I mean, we'd have discussions about exploitation, how much we hate Genet or Cameron. You know, it's, well, when I say Genet, it was only Eric really, but it was a really good experience to have and to join with these YouTubers, and I hope to carry on doing it. But yeah, 2020 is now over. We could draw a line underneath it. But before I do, let's do my top 20 movies of 2020. This unique year, which gave us a lot of independent films, and I think that was due to the cinemas being closed, but wow, it shone the light on independent cinema in such a good way. We have like in my list I've got a few independent films, so apologies for that. So many independent films, and I think a lot of the other YouTubers that I watch have put a lot of independent films on their lists for 2020. Obviously mine is more Asian focused, but yeah, what a year for independent cinema. And I think the film festivals going online has allowed people to watch more of them rather than travelling from here and there to watch them. More people using VPNs to watch other international film festivals, and I think that's brilliant. It's really such a cool thing. You know, we're all expecting to see James Bond and June in people's lists, but yeah, to see independent films has been fantastic. So yeah, let's jump in straight into my list. We're starting off at number 20 from Apple Plus. This is the Beastie Boys story. This is sort of like a documentary type storytelling, directed by Spike Jonze, who's collaborated a lot with the Beastie Boys, and it's really a storytelling from the two remaining members of the Beastie Boys. We've got Ad Rock and Mike D, who are telling the story of the birth of the Beastie Boys to the end of the Beastie Boys after the passing of MCA, which was so tragic. I'm a big fan of Beastie Boys still. I listen to their music all the time. I think they were innovators in many ways. Creativity in their films, their music videos, their music, it's just on another level, and it's something that not a lot of artists have been able to accomplish. And it's really touching about how they started, their failures, their big moments, the moments that changed their lives, and they really go into those parts. And you hear Spike Jonze throughout where they're talking to him, they're saying, "Spike, can you put this up?" And it was filmed in a theatre in front of an audience with a few celebrities in there which do make cameos, and it's just really touching. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. It's everything. The story of this wonderful group. I'm sure they'll one day make a biopic about them. So yeah, that's my number 20, the Beastie Boys story. Number 19, we have Dwelling in the Fuchun Mountain. This is directed by Gu Zhaogang. And this is a family drama. It's a Chinese movie. And it's about this mother celebrating her 70th birthday, and straight after she suffers from a stroke. And we see this family crumble, her being the patriarch, and without her being at full health, we see rifts between the family members over money, other petty things. And what really sets this film out is this this beautiful aesthetic this film has, named after the painting, which is absolutely gorgeous. You have this beautiful river shots, and it's very similar to Kali Blues, I would say, in terms of its aesthetic. And it was mainly shot with amateur actors who couldn't always do scenes together because their job roles, that their main money earning, that it allowed them to have a different schedule from the production, and it made the movie a 2-year production, which is just crazy. I mean, the film is just wonderful. I mean, it would have gone higher up in my list, but due to probably its rewatch value, I probably wouldn't put it in much higher. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. Definitely one of the most beautiful films of the year. At number 18, we have Naomi Kawase's True Mothers. This film is just so powerful. You've got two amazing performances in this. You've got Hiromi Nagasaki and Aju Makita, who play two very different characters. We have Nagasaki's character, who's a woman who's in this marriage. She's her partner is having infertility problems, and we really see the impact and the pain that infertility has in a family. Is rather touching. But we also have Makita's character, who is who becomes pregnant at a very, very young age while she's in school, and it shows how women are pressured and shamed by her underage pregnancy, but what more this film shows is the essence of what it truly means to be a mother, and I think it's such a powerful film. Kawase is such a great director. I love her movies, and I think this is just absolutely powerful, touching. It's just wonderful, and I really can't wait to see it again. I hope it really does get a Blu-ray release. I'm sure it'd be picked up by like Masters of Cinema or one of these big labels over in the UK. Next up, at number 17, we have An Old Lady. This is directed by Lin Soo-ae, and it stars Hee Soo-jung, who plays this elderly woman in her late 60s who is sexually assaulted by a man, a very young man who, and it's quite a heavy film. But I think the way that this touches on the subject is very unique to any other Korean film with this sort of topic. It doesn't deal with it in a way of a melodrama or a revenge film. It's told very respectfully, which is something, you know, with this sort of subject, it needs to be told because of the issues with the justice system regarding women with these cases, and I think it's a beautifully told film with Soo-jung's performance being absolutely fantastic. It's one of the standout performances of the year, and probably it's one of the best Korean films of the year. Hopefully it gets some sort of a physical media release. It does deserve it. It needs to be seen in the West so people can be educated of these sort of stories. Absolutely wonderfully shot as well. An Old Lady at number 17. Next up at number 16, we have Ryo Katayama's debut film, Raw. This film just blew me away. It really did blow me away. It's about this boy who escapes his life after his father's suicide caused by his older brother's crimes, and it really does, because you actually see the aftermath of this, and it's so heavy, and it leads him to the world of this vagrant who helps house him, and this vagrant is just paid by like the mob or other people to just go about beating people up that they want beaten up, it's about characters that are emotionally detached, and it shows like the extreme despair of those around them. It's you know, really, really beautifully told. And we have this other story of this woman who works in a radio and her relationship with one of her producers, and these two stories of this young boy and this radio presenter intertwine, and it's a dark film, but it has got really powerful notes in it, and I think it's a great debut by Katayama. I really can't wait to see his next movie, what he does next, because I think this was just such a great start to a wonderful career that I think he will have. And that's number 16, and that's Raw. At number 15, we have Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. What can I say about this film? I have a love-hate relationship with Spike Lee. I think he went through a period of just doing awful films, whilst he is capable of making masterpieces. I think Black Klansman was a return to greatness for him. This film is a non-linear story about these 5 gentlemen that just returned to Vietnam. They served, well, 4 gentlemen that returned to Vietnam to seek out this fortune that they had hidden in Vietnam. But what makes this film so special is Delroy Lindo's performance. I think is a standout in this. He plays a Trumpian veteran in this, and you really feel his anger, his passion for politics in it. And I think it's one of those he's one of those people that you don't expect to be a Trump supporter, but when he talks about Trump and what have you, it's sort of like you, in some ways you understand his points of view, but I think he's also doesn't really want to listen to other points of view. But that's not the main focus of the film, but I think that's one of the things that Delroy Lindo does so well in this movie, and it really does show like the breakup of conversation as well in this film. But yeah, great performances. Chadwick Boseman plays brilliantly in this as well. I think he will sadly be missed. He done a good job in this film, whilst he isn't in it very much. So that's my number 15, The Five Bloods. And number 14, we have Beast, Clawing at Straws. This is Kim Jong-hoon's debut film. God, what a cast he's got in here. You've got Jung Woo-sung, who is one of the biggest Korean actors of all time. You've also got John Do-yoon, and it's these 3 stories told in a non-linear way, over greed, desperation, revenge, and it's just all these characters after the same. Well, you've got loads of characters after one thing, which is this bag of money, whilst you have this other woman who's just out to get freedom and to be independent due to being in an abusive marriage. I think that is just one of the best Korean films of the year. It's got all-star cast, and what a great debut by Kim Jong-hoon. I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait for this to get a physical media release. I definitely want to see it again. It was shown at the London East Asian Film Festival, and yeah, it was just absolutely brilliant. Definitely one of the best films of the year. At number 13, we have Nobuhiko Obayashi's Labyrinth of Cinema. Now, coming from someone who's just done a debut to this gentleman doing his final movie of his last movie before passing away, it's really touching. It's heartbreaking to watch because oh god, this is his final film. It's like most Obayashi films, it's vibrant, it's colourful, it's bizarre, it's fun, it's got a very deep storyline to it. Obayashi is known to be very anti-war, and he talks about Japan's history with violence and war, whilst it being an ode to cinema. You have these wonderful musical set pieces in there. You have so much colour, and it's just so beautiful. It has that special effects that Obayashi does, which aren't great, but it's part of his style, and I think it's it's such a magical film and a magical experience to watch. I will sadly miss this great director and his great body of work, which is so hard to find. I mean, most people know him from Hausu, which is one of those films that became bigger than it was due to its release from Criterion, and it was so well deserved to get that Criterion release. So seeing that was just absolutely brilliant. This movie was just fantastic, and it was just a wonderful piece of cinema. At number 12 we have Fukuoka. This is a Korean film directed by Zhang Liu, who I think most people know him from his movie Ode to the Goose. This movie, if you're a fan of Hong Sang-soo cinema, you would love this. It stars Kwok Hae-gil, Yoon Jae-moon and Park So-dam. Park So-dam, I think Western audiences will know her for playing Jessica in Parasite. And it's about these two former friends who they were best friends, and then they have this massive falling out, and both these friends are played by Hae-yo and Jae-moon, and you just see Jae-moon decides, let me go, see him, and he lives in the town of the city of Fukuoka in Japan, and he's chaperoned by Park So-dam's character, and you just see this wonderful relationship between these two guys have become from friends to like almost worst enemies, and the way they insult each other, but they're still sort of like anti-friends in a way. But Park So-dam's character is this character that transcends time, communication, and she has this very magical story. It's almost like she's a ghost in a way, and she chaperones them and brings them together. I think her story is quite cool. But yeah, it's a really great movie. I really want to see this on physical media, definitely. I think this would be one that I would definitely pick up. I think it's absolutely magical. And Zhang Liu just does such a great job in this film. I really love this film. And I can't wait to see it again. It's just absolutely mesmerising. At number 11 we have Sofia Coppola's On the Rocks. This stars Bill Murray and Rashida Jones. Rashida Jones's character is this married woman who is starting to have this feeling that her husband is having an affair behind her back, and she seeks the help of her father, played by Bill Murray, who is this suave, charismatic man who is also not a great husband at the same time. And they go on this sort of like investigation, which is completely madcap, just trying to find out whether he's having her husband's having an affair or not. And it's just this father-daughter bond in it, which is just it's magical, it's funny, it's touching, it's heartbreaking. It's just a wonderful film. And I think Sofia Coppola is such an underrated director. I don't think people really give her enough credit as a director, because I don't think we hear as much about her as we really should. I think she's just, we speak about her father but not about her, because she's absolutely brilliant. And I think this movie just came out of nowhere, and it's on Apple Plus. It should have been everywhere, but whilst it did get a cinema release, due to the pandemic and everything, it probably wasn't as wide as it should have been. But yeah, Bill Murray is outstanding in this. I think he is funny. He's just so cool in it. This is probably the coolest character he's ever played, and I love Bill Murray. I think his humour is just so smart, and sharp. Yeah, that's my number 11 on the rocks. At number 10 we have Time to Hunt. This directed by Yoon Sung Yoon, and this has got like an all-star cast of all the young up and coming, well, some say up and coming, and the big young stars from Korea. You've got Lee Jae-hoon, who's just phenomenal. I like most of his movies. I love most of his movies. You've got An Jae-hong, who's most known for his work with Hong Sang-soo, and you also have Choi Woo-shik, who plays in Parasite. And this is about these 4 young men who are so desperate. They live in an alternative future where there's so much poverty, the Korean currency isn't worth anything, and they are so desperate that they rob this mob-run casino, which has some awful consequences for them, and they are chased by this non-stop, almost like Terminator-like assassin. It's suspenseful, it's gritty, it's probably the best Korean crime thriller I've seen in a while. It's phenomenal. The setting is like this futuristic setting, almost similar to like an industrial, like Blade Runner, but more like, it's like Blade Runner crossed with Germany. It's weird. It looks visually stunning. And yeah, what a great crime thriller. It's on Netflix. I really recommend it for anyone. If you're not into subtitles, I think it's dubbed as well, as most of the Asian films are dubbed on Netflix. So yeah, I highly recommend it. At number 9, I have Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor. I knew nothing about this film. I know it's a crime, but when I saw it, it just blew me away. It was phenomenal. Brandon Cronenberg, being the son of the great David Cronenberg. Now his father is known for like body horror, but what this movie is very much like body and mind horror. It's about this. It's set in a future where this assassin takes hold of a body and becomes that person, controlling them, almost like like they're a machine and they're driving them. It's so dark, but when she loses control of the person that she's inside, things turn quite dark. It's the aesthetic of this film is stunning, and I think it's a more refined piece than David Cronenberg's work. I think it's much more refined than his father's work, and it's made me really want to check out Antiviral, which is Brandon Cronenberg's previous film. I really want to get into his filmography, because I think he's a really great director, and this film just is one of the highlights of the year. It's one of those that the horror fans are going crazy for, and when the horror fans are going crazy for a film, you should really listen and take note, because when they go crazy over a horror movie of a year, it's going to be big. You really do. At number 8 we have Woo Min-ho, the director of Inside Men's latest The Man Standing Next. This stars two of Korea's biggest actors. You've got Lee Byung-hun and Kwak Do-won. Kwak Do-won was in The Wailing. Maybe you might recognise him from there. But this is the telling of the story leading to. It's telling a story of the days leading to the assassination of President Park Chung-hee, who was a sort of like dictator and a really awful leader who took power and really held his power with an iron fist. And we see it from the point of view of Lee Byung-hun, who's sort of like his right-hand man, who, as if you know anything of the story, is the person that finally assassinates him. But it's not the story of the assassination, but what leads to his assassination. It's really this story, and I think it's cool to see these political Korean films, because not a lot of people know these stories of Korea's political past whilst it had a very right-wing government. And I think this is just an absolutely great story. I think it shows the history of Korea, and Lee Byung-hun is brilliant in this. It's one of his best films for a long time, and I like to see him do more films like this, more Korean films that have this more serious stories in, rather than the US films that he does. So that's number 8, and that is Man Standing Next. Number 7, we have I'm Thinking of Ending Things, directed by Charlie Kaufman. This is a movie that doesn't really wrap itself up to the audience and explain its story simply. It's one of those where Kaufman has created this story threaded in the technicalities of a troubled mind. And this film has really divided audiences. I keep seeing on my letterbox people giving it very negative reviews, whilst people are hailing it as a wonderful piece of work. I mean, my friend Dion, he put it as his number 1 on his list for 2020, and I think it's brilliant. I absolutely do. It has some of the most gorgeous and sumptuous visuals. In particular, its ending, which I think is wonderful, and just this story of this young girl who's, she's on the verge. She's looking to end a relationship with her partner, who seems to be listening to her thoughts. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I really, really recommend it. It's available on Netflix, so definitely check it out. At number 6, we have Ray Young's Twilight Kiss. This film it's so touching. It stars Taibo and Ben Yeon. It's the story of 2 closeted family men. When I say closet homosexuals, who find each other in later years of their lives. They're both like grandparents, and they find each other sort of accidentally, and they build this tender hearted relationship, and it's this story that's told with such empathy and understanding. I think it's just absolutely heartwarming. It's beautiful. It's just a gorgeous piece of storytelling, very similar to something like Brokeback Mountain, the way it tells these stories of 2 men that aren't the the usual types of characters to be in this relationship, but they are, and this is how they are dealing with it, and it's done so beautifully. It's absolutely wonderful. At number 5, we have this is a film that I saw. I can't remember which. I don't think it was Japan Cuts. It was another smaller film festival. It's directed by Eisuke Naito, and it is Forgiven Children. This film is just so heavy. It's about this young boy who accidentally is killed by his bullies that are using these homemade crossbows, and I think, and this story is told from the viewpoint of the bully, and it's a commentary really on Japan's justice system, and how it is the sort of like in between the justice system versus personal guilt. And I think you really see the way that Japan deals with its youth crime. It's just so so heavy, but it, again, a story that needs to be told. I think it's from a viewpoint of a bully is quite original, and where his story really ends up, the way he goes from one school to another after this incident, and is seen as and the effects of social media on these people's lives, how they can't escape the crimes of their past. It's very telling, and I think it's a brilliant film. Whether it gets social media, a physical media release, I don't think it will. One that's UK friendly, I don't think so, but it's one to keep your eye out for if it ever does. And that's Forgiven Children, which is my number 5. At number 4, where would we be without a Hong Sang-soo movie? We have The Woman Who Ran, another Hong Sang-soo movie starring Kim Min-hee. And I think Hong Sang-soo can do no wrong. I mean, he's just done another banger here, really. Another stunning movie from this phenomenal auteur. Kim Min-hee meets 3 friends while her husband is away on a business trip, and it's sort of like an awakening for her. It delves into her self-discovery, and you know where she wants to be, really, whilst she sees these independent women around her, and she's someone that's so dependent on her husband, and it really wakes her up. It's almost like a slap in her face. And I think Kim Min-hee is phenomenal in this. She's just such a great actress, and I think she's just given another great performance. But I think she does so well with Hong Sang-soo. They know each other so well. It's just like he brings out the best of her, and she brings out the best in him, because I think their work together is some of the best of each other's careers. But yeah, The Woman Who Ran is, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You know, if you're not into Hong Sang-soo movies, there are other films that you should really check out. Right Now, Wrong Then is probably his most accessible film, or The Day After. But yeah, this is a very chilled out movie, and it's one that you expect from a Hong Sang-soo film. At number 3, we have Red Post on Esher Street, directed by the great, the phenomenal Shion Sono. And this is a story about the production of this film, the casting, and it's in a non-linear way, because we each have these characters, and there's so many characters in this film. They're all gunning for these extra roles where they're just going to be in the background, and their stories are so touching. They're wonderful. They're heartfelt. They're charming, and I think it's a very different take on a different film from any other Shion Sono. He doesn't delve into the bizarreness which you expect from a Shion Sono film. It's very heartfelt, and I think he's done a brilliant movie here, and it's all about these real people who have a dream to be in cinema, to make it big, and it's an absolute wonderful charming film. I'm sure this will get a major physical media release. I'm sure it will get released on at the cinemas as well over in the UK or the US, because of it being Shion Sono. At the moment, I don't think it's been picked up yet, but yeah, it's one of those that will be absolutely massive. At number 2, we have Simon Lang's Days. Of course, this film stars Lee Kang-sheng, a regular in Simon Lang's films. This film, I reviewed it earlier in the year. It's just so beautiful. It's a very minimalist film with hardly any dialogue in there, and it's about these 2 men who live completely in self-isolation and solitude, and the way they come together is so heartfelt. It's we just see Li Kang Sheng, and in the beginning it's like a 15-minute just complete silence of these long takes. Something that Simon Lang is so famous for, these long, beautiful takes of just light moving across a character's face. And I think it really shows the way these people live, just in complete loneliness. Two characters, and the tenderness they have at the end when they come together is just beautiful. And I think in recent years Simon Lang's gone away from narrative work and gone more into experimental work, and I think this has allowed him to evolve so much coming into watching Days, because it's allowed him to, I think it's also given the people that watch his films the knowledge, knowing that he's using this as part of his storyline, with the way he uses long takes where very little happens, but there is so much going on underneath. And Sai is the king, the absolute king of Taiwanese cinema right now. I think he is doing so well, and I think this will be an awakening for people to finally get into his movies. He's just absolutely tremendous. Now here's the big one, the number one. This movie has pretty much been my favourite movie of the last it's been my favourite movie of the year, and I saw it 6 months ago, and I've been raving about it ever since. It is Toshiaki Toyoda's Day of Destruction. It's I was blown away by it. It's got his usual cast of Kiyohiko Shibukawa, and we also have someone that I've not seen in a film. I think he's a musician, Mahi to the People, and it's this is the first movie I've actually seen which touches on the response of the pandemic. Now it was meant to coincide with the opening of the Olympics, but with everything that happened, I think Toyota completely changed it. And the basis of this story is a monster is seen in a village coal mine, and after its appearance, a plague hits this small town. And right at the beginning, we see this monk who commits a self-sacrifice to purify this town. And there are so many elements to this film. We have anger, love, good, evil, and it's just culminates into this absolute beautiful scenes with Mahi to the People, who I think gives a standout performance in this film. I think it's Toyoda's angriest film since Porno Star, which was his debut film. Porno Star was a very angry film, but unlike Porno Star, this is so much more refined. His visual style has just evolved. He's become this great director, and I think his films, this should be, like Simon Lang's Days, this is his awakening, and I think more people should check out his films, because he has had UK releases by Third Window Films, and I think more people should check out his films, like Nine Souls, Blue Spring. I think are just perfect movies, and for anyone who's into obscure Japanese cinema, you really need to check him out. He is a fantastic director, and Day of Destruction I think is a masterpiece, and it will go down as one of my favourite films, and a good start to this decade of cinema. I think it's just mind-blowing. It's a short film. It's just under an hour long. It's a mid-length movie, and it's one to be seen, definitely. definitely one to be seen. Great performances, great cinematography, a beautiful story, great soundtrack. Definitely check it out. So that is Day of Destruction, which is my favourite film of 2020. So yeah, guys, that's my list. Let me know what your favourite movie was of 2020. I'm sure everyone has their own special film. I've seen other people's lists on YouTube. There's some very cool choices out there, and obviously your usual films like your Tenet and Sonic the Hedgehog and what have you. But yeah, I hope this has given you something to add to your watch list, films that you missed, or you're not the only one that loved a certain film. But yeah, let me know below. I will be doing possibly a top 20 Blu-ray list of 2020. I might do that next week. So make sure you subscribe and be alerted to that. Click like I said, comment below, and I hope to see you in the next video, guys. Take it easy.